Hello everyone, this is Ece from YILPORT Holding Marketing Communications. Today we are with our Yildirim Group Corporate Marketing Officer, Zeycan Yildirim. Welcome Zeycan.
Thank you, Ece, for having me. It's an honor here to be with you at Connection Magazine today.
Thank you, same here. You are in the company for 5 or 6 years and you have conducted game-changing projects ever since then. Could you provide some insights on the valuable contributions you have made during this time?
Absolutely. I started in the company 5 years ago in 2018. I was an intern for the Garip Zeycan YILDIRIM Foundation. My goal was to start at the very bottom to collect intel about the company's values, what we're doing in the foundation, and what we could do in the future. I did not want to deviate from what we were currently doing. I wanted to align our identity with Yildirim Group's identity. And I saw that we had already built 3 schools across Türkiye, and I wanted to go and continue the path of education. We were giving a lot of scholarships to deserving students from low socioeconomic backgrounds to consider their higher education. And instead of changing everything, I thought, how can I enhance on this? How can I add to it? And how can I keep Yildirim Group's values going? Because our job is not just to operate for profit or for business, but to actually align ourselves with the communities that we're centered in and to give back.
Yes, great works that I have been following. And aside from the high schools and other ones built across Turkey and other regions, you also use online platforms for English language development with innovative solutions for the young generation. What drove you to focus on this area?
The online English program was actually started as a pandemic project, but before we got there, I really wanted to, again, align our values to the group. And something that I noticed being half American and half Turkish is that I struggle with the language and people being able to communicate with me in English. So I realized that there was a low proficiency level of English within Türkiye. And I decided to study the public school system and see why people were not learning English compared to our neighboring countries, for example. And I've noticed that the system wasn't very strong. And I think that the best way the foundation can operate is to create social change. We don't want to touch one life, but we want to touch a whole community. And I thought that English would be perfect for this because it would enrich one's lives in so many different ways. And I thought that my dad was a great example for this because he came from a very impoverished background. And he always told me that when I learned English, this is how the company grew and globalized because the internet was not that strong. It was really hard to communicate to the world unless you spoke their language. And he said, I took it from a local company that went national to international. He's like, if I did not know English, if I did not live abroad, I could not do this. And my mentality was, how many other Yüksel Yıldirims are there out there in the community that are brilliant, that are intelligent, that are ambitious, but because they lack English, they can't get their ideas out to the world. So this is what our motivation was for the foundation. We wanted to do something unique, something that many other foundations or companies weren't focused on. And so I decided to do a case study actually at YILPORT High School, which is close to our port in Gebze. And we started with 100 students from 9th and 10th grade, and we were trying to do a partnership with consultants from Bosphorus University. So they were helping us. It wasn't a partnership with the university, but we had consultants from there who were actually teaching English with technology. I said that the future of education is going to be online, on social media, on Netflix. If you want students to actually learn, especially with Gen Z, you have to interest them. You know, school books and chalkboards are not the way to do it. So we worked with professionals. We started a case study at YILPORT, and then the pandemic happened. And we had to think very quickly because we spent all this money for this program, and we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to be. We didn't know how long students were going to be in their home. And because we were working with very impoverished students, a lot of them did not have internet connection at home. So what we decided to do was make this a free program for every high school student within Türkiye. With a Zoom password and the ID, they could join our classes. And instead of focusing on grammar the way that a lot of other traditional programs do, we wanted to focus on speaking because it's not about how well you write. It's really about how well you can communicate your point from one person to the next. So if we could make them feel confident in just speaking the language, even if it's broken, that's all that matters, because the point of communication is just to explain what you want and then to receive what another person is telling you. So we started 3 years ago, and we've reached over 2,000 students joining our program. We have classes every day, sometimes 3 classes a day, and it's just been a big journey. And our programs have developed from the pandemic project of teaching high school students online to now having 5 different English programs. One which I'm really proud of is teaching TEFL certificate English teachers, training them and bringing them on our program. So it actually made the program completely free, because we train teachers to get their practicum and fulfill their hours. And then these teachers come onto our program and practice to high school students. And one of the best advantages of this program to me is that we're bringing native English speakers from around the world to connect with students in Turkey free of charge. So students from all across the country, from tiny little towns, get to speak with teachers from Canada, the UK, and America, and learn about the world. So it's something that I'm really proud of, and I think it's one of our signature programs of the foundation.
Yes, it is indeed. Your dedication to enhancing the English proficiency of our colleagues within the Yildirim Group is truly commendable. Effective communication is crucial in today's global landscape, as you mentioned that you need to be more open to the world by expressing yourself better. Could you tell us more about the initiatives Yildirim Group has undertaken within the organization?
With Yildirim Group, our thought was that we are helping so many different groups of people across Türkiye learn English, but we need to start in-house. A lot of our colleagues already know English, but they're missing the business English. So what we're trying to do is develop that foundation to be able to communicate in a business setting. So we have a lot of English language professionals within the foundation, and they created an in-house program where we actually help our colleagues speak confidently in a business environment.
About the foundation, you also have game-changing activities in gender equality. Can you share some details about these impactful activities?
Game-changing is a very strong word, and I really appreciate that. I think if I were to say what is the most game-changing aspect of our gender equality initiatives, I would say it's actually our YILPORT Samsunspor purple jersey. And the motivation that came about this was in 2021, where my father is from, in Samsun, where he also owns the football team. There was a viral attack of a woman where, unfortunately, she was being kicked in her head while she was unconscious on the street that I grew up in and where my grandmother still lives. So it was something that's very emotional to me, because I'd been fighting for violence against women for over 15 years, bringing awareness to other people. And when this video went viral of this man doing this in front of his 5-year-old daughter in a ballerina outfit, it shocked people in Turkey, and everybody was making a statement about it. And as the owners of Samsunspor in Samsun, where I grew up on this street, I felt that I had a bigger responsibility and I had to do more. And I didn't know exactly what to do, but I knew that we had the opportunity to design our 3rd jersey. And so I asked if we could make it purple in 15 different languages, if we could write "End Violence Against Women" to show that this is a global epidemic that is occurring. We did that, and it took off really well in Turkey, I think because it was very controversial at the time to actually talk so openly about violence against women, even though, unfortunately, Turkey has amongst some of the highest femicide rates in the country. It was very taboo to discuss. We knew it was happening, but we felt guilty to discuss it. And of course, we didn't know what the implications would be, because there was the Istanbul Convention going on, and this was a very strong political decision. So what was game-changing was that YILPORT and Samsunspor were the first to publicly make a statement. And I think it was the right arena to make a statement, because it's men causing violence against women. Sometimes when we say violence against women, we forget that it's male violence towards women. And the fact that we were so open about that, and then we went into a male space of playing football and men watching football, and we said, this abuse has to stop. We're going to wear these purple jerseys, and the men abusing maybe their wives at home will have to watch their favorite players do it. So wear it and talk about it and communicate about it. So I think it was very game changing in the sense that we often see feminists fight for women and women fight for women, but so rarely do we put women's rights into a male arena. And that's what YILPORT Samsunspor did. So I think that was quite game changing. And from there, we saw it take off. Argentina had a purple jersey in the World Cup.
I was going into this.
Yes, it was very exciting to see. Sometimes you don't know what a seed planted will do, but when you go in with pure intentions, people see it from all around the world. Maybe they got inspiration from you, maybe they didn't. You don't know how it started, but we know that we were amongst the first to do it. So I think that's quite game changing. Argentina did it and they won the World Cup. And then Barcelona actually created purple as their official color because it's red and blue, yes. And then they mixed it. And then they said purple is now one of our official colors and we're fighting for gender equality. And then a team in Ottawa, Canada actually created an End Violence Against Women jersey that's also purple. So we know that when you do one action, it can carry along across the world. So that's something that as YILPORT Samsunspor, we're very proud of. It's exciting to see women's rights in a male-dominated arena. And I think that there's so much potential for this to grow and continue awareness. So it's something I'm very proud of.
Great. So it's a game-changing activity. It has spread around the world. YILPORT, which operates 24 terminals worldwide, has made great strides in promoting gender equality within its workforce. We would love to hear your thoughts on the progress and impact of this initiative.
I think it's amazing that YILPORT is focusing on gender equality. It's so important. I think women have come a long ways, but there's still a lot of inequality in the world. And the fact that we're moving and we're progressing is really exciting. I know as a group of companies, we also at YILDIRIM have focused on gender equality. We created a gender equality committee even, and we're really focusing on changing the male language that is so commonly used in the workplace. We're trying to work towards a zero tolerance policy for abuse of women in the workplace. We started a lot of different initiatives also within the company. So it's exciting that YILPORT is following YILDIRIM's lead and doing their own initiatives within the terminals and outside of the headquarters.
You also held sessions for our executives on gender equality. What was the content in this?
We spoke about the biases and the stereotypes of different genders. A lot of it's unconscious. I think a lot of men were in this auditorium thinking, I've felt like that. I've said that before, and I didn't know that this was a stereotype or this was a bias. So I think it did a great job in opening people's minds in how they've been conditioned to act and to believe. And when you know better, you can do better. So a lot of unlearning can occur. And I thought that another takeaway that was really strong was that people knew how to effectively report something they see. A lot of times we see things that go on, but we feel that we shouldn't get involved or we don't know how to do it. Or how can we do it safely without the politics? How can we stay anonymous? And our speaker did a great job explaining that to our colleagues as well.
For the other countries, do you have any future plans?
I would love to. Right now, we focus on giving a lot of free self-defense classes to women, and it might seem something small, but I think a lot of women often feel powerless when they are out in public. They know that an attack from a man can happen, especially on public transportation, and they don't know how to act or what to do. But to give them little moves or little tricks of defending themselves, I think really empowers women to feel confident that, okay, if I am alone in a dark street or in public transportation, I can do something and I can get away. That empowers somebody. If you feel helpless, you immediately give up. So I think just spreading the awareness and planting the seeds of free self-defense classes for women, because it's not just empowering them physically, but mentally. I think that when women feel empowered and strong and they see other people supporting them, it really unlocks the best selves of us. So I think that's something that we can immediately start with internationally, but we also focus on giving psychological help to women who have been abused. So in the future, we would actually like to sponsor psychologists in different international communities so that they can help women who are survivors.
Do you have any suggestion for young talents within Yildirim Group and beyond as they navigate their careers? What is the future that you plan for Yildirim Group?
I would really like to see the zero tolerance policy take place. I think that there's still a lot of biases around women reporting things because oftentimes we feel weak. Something was said, it offended us, and we're deciding, am I okay to feel this? Should I report this, or am I just being a weak person? So I think that women actually taking control of how they want to be treated, reporting it, standing up for themselves is going to be a huge win. I would love to see our male colleagues stand up for women too and say this is not right and speak to the men doing it, because oftentimes it's concealed as a joke or something that's funny, but there's nothing really funny about it. So I would really like to see more men stand up for women in the workplace. I would like to see guidelines being pushed more. I would like to see more frequent awareness seminars. I would like to see the culture shift and change. And if there's any advice that I would give people is just to make yourself aware of the complexities that women have to face in their daily lives, because it's a lot being a woman, and then you have to show up to work and you have to do your work in a certain manner. And as women, we're always taught that we're weak because we're emotional and we feel, but I think emotional intelligence and strength is actually something positive, especially in leadership. So instead of belittling women for what they feel, I think we ought to see it as a superpower, because empathy is actually what carries people through. So I think if we can be more empathetic to our peers around us, educate ourselves, and stand up for our peers, it's really going to make a big difference.
About the CSR activities, what is the strategy and how do you decide on which projects to deal with first?
The foundation, we really focus on 3 areas. So it has to be educational, it has to be about gender equality, or it has to be about youth development. So these are the 3 areas that we fund. And then the next step, if it fits one of these areas, is how sustainable is this project going to be? I don't like short-term projects. It really has to make a deep impact. So I try to look at how it's going to impact the community, how it can be sustainable without depending on us. And then I try to see what the long-term result is. A lot of times people will start a project, but you can't see the whole spectrum through. And I have to make sure that what our goal is actually met at the end. I don't want to leave anything in the middle. Otherwise, it's not leaving a big impact, and all of your efforts, time, energy, resources, etc. go to waste.
How do you determine which initiatives to pursue and what factors influence your decision-making process?
A lot of the projects I like to actually operate myself, because then I can control the full spectrum from the beginning to the end. It is needed to have partners. I'm huge on collaboration. I think nobody can do anything alone. You have to be with other people and you have to collaborate and share ideas and look to them to fulfill the areas that you're weak in, and then the areas that they're weak in, you're strong in. So I really believe on the power of collaboration. For funding, our budget needs change. It depends on how sustainable I think the project is going to be. If I think it's a great project and I think it's going to leave long-term impact long after we've left that community or we've stopped working there, I will fund it more. If not, I will try to use our human resources, because we have a growing, energetic, and passionate team within the foundation. So whatever we can operate and do amongst ourselves, I would try to operate it. And if I can't, I would look to other NGOs and fund them.
Türkiye lived through a horrible earthquake within the year. Kahramanmaraş and 10 other cities were mostly affected. Can you provide us with more details about the relief efforts and studies that were conducted during this challenging time?
We had several different search and rescue teams from Itikram and Elazığ that actually went out and rescued 6 people alive. It's something that we were really proud of, to give our manpower and to help the government with the search and rescue. We've also helped many different cities with aid boxes, giving them anything from portable chargers to heaters to water to food to clothing, etc. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very big on collaboration. This is something that I did not want to do alone as the foundation. I wanted to get our employees involved, because I'm not here just trying to operate something as Yildirim Group. I'm trying to build a culture of philanthropy. So the more that our employees are involved, in every step of the process, and the more they can help give, the bigger win it is for us as Yildirim Group, because philanthropy is one of the values that we really find important. We can do everything ourselves, but when we collaborate with other people and when we show them the power of giving and helping people, I think that they go out and touch more people in the world. So a lot of our employees joined us in the donations. They also personally packed the boxes, loaded them to the truck. We had our own truck drivers drive it. People from our office go and personally deliver it to the tent cities. We helped other people unrelated to us, but of course, for our employees in the region, we did build a tent city for them and their relatives to be able to transition into this new living arrangement that they have unfortunately been handled in life. As the foundation, we helped a lot of women solidarity organizations. So on top of giving earthquake boxes to regular citizens, we also really focused on giving to women who have been abused, who are living in shelters. We sponsor a psychologist to be able to support the women and children survivors, but living in that area. We also partnered with UNFPA and COMET organization, and we bought maternal hygiene kits for pregnant women and expectant mothers for their newborns. So this is something that often gets ignored, is that there was a lot of pregnant women and they were felt disheartened, but they're hit with such tragedy. And you're not just thinking of yourself. There's a lot of hormonal changes going on, help that you need. You're thinking of a baby that hasn't even been born yet into such a catastrophic situation. So for us, we help women, but it was really important for us to help new mothers, because I think that they felt the change in a very drastic way. So being able to help them with their maternal needs, their medical care, etc., was very meaningful for us. Mostly our works continued along this manner.
Thank you, Zeycan, for touching so many people's lives. I hope this sets a standard for the business world and set a good example for the activities.
Thank you for having me, Ece. It was a real honor to speak with you at Connection Magazine today. I wish you all the best with the future episodes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dear all, you can follow us on social media and through our channels, and we will move forward with our top talks and stay connected to share the latest developments of YILPORT Holding. Thank you, everyone.